Former soldier Daniel Khalife has been found guilty at Woolwich Crown Court of spying for Iran, but cleared of carrying out a bomb hoax. So this coming from court just in the last few moments. Former soldier Daniel Khalife, pictured here, has been found guilty at Woolwich Crown Court of spying for Iran, but cleared of carrying out a bomb hoax. You may remember the case of Daniel Khalife. He escaped from Wandsworth prison on the 6th of September last year. He was being held on remand at that time, awaiting this trial on terrorism charges relating to 2 incidents. He was accused of, at that point, of collecting secret information and passing it to agents in Iran. He is alleged to have covertly gathered the names of serving soldiers, including those in special forces. Separately, he was accused of planting a fake bomb at his barracks. That was the case heading into this trial, and we have just received from the news wires that the former soldier, Daniel Khalife, has been found guilty at Woolwich Crown Court of spying for Iran, but cleared of carrying out a bomb hoax. Now, going back to Wandsworth prison, when his case then garnered national attention because he was being held on these terrorism charges at Wandsworth prison. He was working in the canteen kitchen area of the prison, and he managed to escape from Wandsworth prison by effectively attaching himself to the underside of a lorry, a food delivery lorry. And he had managed to attach himself with prison kitchen trousers, effectively strapping himself underneath. He got out of the prison underneath that lorry and drove up the road and then climbed out from under the lorry. And there was a huge search operation then carried out by police throughout London. Huge areas searched, like Richmond Park at one point, and these are some of the CCTV images of his activity after escaping from Wandsworth prison. He was eventually caught, of course, and stood trial for the original offences. He was on the run for 3 days in total, eventually captured in Northolt in London. And at one point, as I mentioned there, Richmond Park was where the search area, the largest park in Greater London, was closed completely while they tried to find him using helicopters, infrared search for him. There was a £20,000 reward on offer for his arrest as he was on the run. He was eventually arrested by a plainclothes police officer, but that case was effectively leading up to this case now, which is the terrorism charges case. And that's the one that the jury has come back. It has made its decision. And in the last few moments, the court has heard the decision that the former soldier, Daniel Khalife, guilty at Woolwich Crown Court of spying for Iran, but cleared of carrying out a bomb hoax. So some of the detail on some of the cases the case that he was answering and the charges that he was answering. Let's get a bit more detail on those. My colleague Martine is standing by for us. Martine, if you're connected and can hear me, it's Lewis here in the studio in London. Just wondering if we've managed to establish communications yet with Martine. Doesn't look like we have. We'll come back to Martine. We have. Martine got the thumbs up there. It's Lewis here. We are live. Martine, just talk us through what you can tell us about what happened there in court.
Yes, we went back into court at 10 o'clock this morning here at Woolwich, and the jury have returned their verdicts on 3 counts. They have found the former Royal Signals Corps soldier Daniel Khalife, who's 23, born in Britain, guilty on 2 of those counts. That is that he was committed an act prejudicial to the safety or interests of the state. In other words, found guilty of spying for an enemy state. In this case, it's Iran. He had denied this, saying that he wanted to be regarded as a double agent, had approached MI6 with a view to becoming a double agent. They hadn't taken him seriously. He went on to be arrested later. The second count is under the Terrorism Act. The first was under the Official Secrets Act. This is regarding eliciting information about members of the armed forces. Contrary to the Terrorism Act, the prosecution brought evidence in court that Daniel Khalife had gathered the names of serving soldiers, particularly those in the SAS, the Special Air Service, and the SBS, the Special Boat Service, taking photographs of 15 personnel names and handing them over to the Iranians. He claimed that they were useless documents, that he'd made most of them up. Regarding the third count, this was perpetrating a bomb hoax. He has been found not guilty of this third count, which is under the Criminal Law Act. He had left a fake device on a desk in his barracks in Staffordshire to try to slow down the hunt for him when he had absconded from those barracks in 2023. He said that it was such a rudimentary device that no one would believe that it was serious, but it was treated as serious, and a bomb disposal squad was brought in. However, the jury have found him not guilty on that count. You may recall that during his evidence last week, he pleaded guilty, changed his plea to escaping from Wandsworth prison on the 6th of September last year. And that is how Daniel Khalife came to public attention, really. He was front page news because he mounted this escape from Wandsworth prison. Afterwards, there were 81 failures in the security at Wandsworth prison that were discovered because of the ensuing investigation. He was on the run for 3 days. He had, the court heard here at Woolwich, created a sling from trousers that were worn in the prison kitchen. And a few days before he escaped on the 6th of September, he had slung it against the rear axles of a food delivery truck, and then took his chance on the 6th of September and positioned himself in that sling underneath the van. The van was allowed to leave, even though the alarm was raised that a prisoner was missing. And out on the road in southwest London, when the van came to a stop, he rolled out from underneath the van, and he was seen by an eyewitness driving a car behind. He did a pencil roll, the court heard, and then shook his hair very casually and ran away. And he was on the run for 3 days, 75 hours in total. And in the end, he was found 11 miles away from the prison. That's the only distance he'd managed to travel. And he was arrested on a towpath in Northolt in North London by a plainclothes police officer. Daniel Santford has this background report on the rest of the case.
This was Daniel Khalife on the morning of his escape, working in the kitchen at Wandsworth Prison. 15 minutes later, he was driven out of the jail, clinging to the bottom of this food delivery truck, suspended by a makeshift sling made of kitchen trousers. The driver, unaware of the stowaway underneath, made his way through London's early morning traffic. The lorry with Daniel Khalife clinging on underneath stopped at these lights, and a motorist following behind saw him drop to the ground, roll out, stand up, flick his fringe and casually walk off. It was the beginning of a massive nationwide manhunt. By 5 o'clock that afternoon, Daniel Khalife was 6 miles away in Richmond, wearing shorts, checking the CCTV cameras in Mountain Warehouse before stealing a baseball cap to hide his face. By the next morning, he'd got some cash from an unknown contact, which he used to buy more clothes in Marks & Spencer, before reading about his escape in the newspapers. The huge publicity meant people started to notice him and call the police, among them Frank Noon, who saw him in a cemetery in Chiswick.
I actually felt a bit sorry for him. I thought, well, as somebody who's like most wanted, you don't look that sort of disarming, you don't look that kind of scary or anything.
Eventually, after 3 days on the run, Daniel Khalife was spotted riding a stolen bike along this canal towpath and was arrested by a plainclothes detective who he promptly congratulated. The son of a British-Iranian single mother, Daniel Khalife had joined the army aged 16. One fellow recruit, who didn't want to be identified, remembered him as an annoying attention seeker.
How cocky he was, how arrogant he came across, and just how he seems to want the spotlight. He always wanted to seem like he was the attention point and that no one else could take it. Everyone aware of him as a person and know his name.
Less than a year after joining the army, he was in a North London park collecting £1,500 in a dog poo bag from Iranian agents. 2 years after joining, he was in a smart hotel in Istanbul. He told his handler he wanted to be trained in Iran.
I wanted to have some training from you guys, and I think the best training for me is inside of Iran. I'm one of the most intelligent people. I won an award. I am better than everybody here. I am more intelligent than everybody here.
In a message, he said he would work for them for 25 plus years. He sent the Iranians pictures of communication equipment and official strategy documents that he upgraded to secret, but misspelled the word. He contacted MI5 anonymously, saying he wanted to be a double agent, but instead they had him arrested.
Iran is one of a number of countries that present a real and present risk to our national security. So Daniel Khalife providing information to them absolutely compromises our national security.
Particularly as he's a serving soldier.
Particularly as he was a surgeon soldier that had access to sensitive material.
A year after he was first arrested, he left a fake bomb on his desk at his barracks and ran off to live in a van where police found £18,000. When recaptured, he was charged under the Terrorism Act and the Official Secrets Act, which is why he was being held in Wandsworth prison when he escaped. Daniel Sanford, BBC News, at Woolwich Crown Court.
Well, Daniel Khalife appeared in court today wearing a blue shirt with a button-down collar and khaki trousers. He didn't react other than to adjust his glasses when he sat down again. When he first heard the verdict. Just to recap on those counts, he's been found guilty of count 1, which is a charge against the Official Secrets Act. The second count was against the Terrorism Act, but in terms of perpetrating a bomb hoax, he has been found not guilty. But during the middle of his evidence last week, he changed his plea to escaping from prison to a guilty plea. Prosecutors have said that he'd played a cynical game, claiming that he'd wanted a career working as a double agent to help British security services, when in fact he had actually gathered, according to the prosecution, a very large body of restricted and classified material, including the names of people in the special forces. His barrister, the defence barrister, had tried to argue that his double agent plot was hapless, as he described it, sometimes bordering on the slapstick, more Scooby-Doo than 007. But the jury here at Woolwich Crown Court were convinced of the danger that he posed. And in fact, the jury had heard during evidence that Daniel Khalife could have endangered the life of Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe by sending fake intelligence documents to Iran, accused as he was of sending these documents entitled Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe Intelligence Options, which he created in 2021. Clearly a fake document, but it said that the British government was not willing to negotiate over her release after she was detained in Iran for 6 years. The background to that, of course, is that in 2016, Ms Zaghari-Ratcliffe was arrested by the Revolutionary Guards in Tehran after a holiday visit when she'd taken her daughter to see her parents. And, of course, she was detained in Iran over those allegations, which she denied all that time. She was finally freed in 2022 after ministers agreed to settle a historic debt of £400 million to the Iranian government. But we're now we have the verdict. We're expecting sentencing to take place probably into the new year. The judge sitting here, Mrs Justice Chima Grubb, has said that plainly he will be facing a long custodial sentence. She went on to thank the jury for their service, saying that you have plainly given the case careful attention. And as this judge often does, she says if they found the proceedings to be interesting, she's encouraged them to consider becoming magistrates. So Daniel Khalife, found guilty on those 2 counts of terror against the Terrorism Act and the Official Secrets Act because of spying for an enemy state, in this case Iran, not guilty on the 3rd count of perpetrating a bomb hoax. And as we say, count 4 was whether he had escaped from prison. He changed his plea last week during evidence and admitted that he had, on September the 6th last year, escaped from Wandsworth Prison. Lewis.